Good morning and welcome to what will probably be the last video of my trip. I'm starting the day with something totally different. I'm standing at the entrance to the Silver City ghost town in the middle of the 18th or the 19th century with the gold rush. These little towns sprang up all over the place, mining towns. By the 1870s, 1880s, when the gold basically wore out, they were abandoned. And this one, there are about 20 buildings here that are being either restored or preserved. So this should be really interesting because I love this kind of history. Just to clarify, this is not the actual site of the town. And there wasn't actually a town called Silver City. These were all from mining towns within about 30 or 40 miles from here. The oldest one, swing back, is that one, which we'll get to soon, which is from 1850. And the newest one is from about 1870. So they recommended we start here. That was the Wells Fargo staging post in a town of Hot Springs, which was near here, kind of a resort town even in the day. This is the an old post office. I think it's also from Hot Springs. Not sure if these posters are genuine, but maybe. Certainly the chests, yeah. Look at this old packing suitcase with the drawers and everything, trunk. The front of a home. I'm not sure what some of these things are for. For example, that looks like something for keeping pigeons in. I don't know. Old sewing machine there. Foot operated. I remember one of those from my grandmother's house, except she had added she'd had a motor added to it. And here we have the jail from the town of Isabella. This is the actual jail. It's dark in here, but I will try and I will do my best. The camera actually does a good job with what little light there is. You have in the room here a bed, a little chair to sit on, and a chamber pot. I imagine if somebody needed to be restrained, they could be chained or handcuffed to that little link there. And then of course you have the door with the iron grill. Let's see if I can make this work. There we go. There are certain people who say I should be behind bars. So for those of you who believe that, you can savor the moment. Right, moment's over. Moving on. Whoops. Marshal's office. From the Big Blue mine site. There's not much in here, and obviously that back wall is not original. Nothing much in here to suggest that it was the marshal's office. I have no idea what the little replica cannon is doing here, but it's here. Okay, this building is really interesting. If you look at it, you'll see there are no windows, and there's a reason for that. And you'd have buildings like this in most of the mining towns. The reason there are no windows is that this was a brothel, and obviously windows were not needed. Where the fresh air came from, I don't know, but there we go. Now this is a typical miner's cabin, outfitted as it would have seemed in the day. You have a bed, a stove, a shelf at the back there, place to hang things, chest to sit on, probably also what they would have brought when they arrived. When the miners arrived, they would have brought stuff with them. There would have been a ceiling, but that has disappeared. It looks like it was wallpapered with old newspaper. So if you're wondering, well, are they going to fix it up? Their aim here is not to restore things. I don't think they have the budget for that. Not to make things look like when they're brand new. I think their aim is to prevent further decay. This looked like it has some sort of printing press, judging by the letter type on the floor there. This would have been the church. Take a peek inside. Oh. Yep, old organ there. Not very big, but I would imagine that not too many of the miners were big on attending church. This would have been a pub / games room. Not huge, but most of these buildings came from towns that were very, very small. And also a town of a few hundred people could have a number of different bars and saloons, etc. And of course, you had outhouses. This one you could go with a friend, so to speak. This is the oldest house in the museum. It started off as a house and was later used as a bar. And the actual story is in the blurb next to the door that many people think that this place is haunted. This building structure is haunted, and some strange evidence of funny things going on. Is it? Well, who knows? I don't think you could get away with a job advertisement like this today. Good afternoon. I have made it back to the California coast. I am in Monterey, which is a few hours north of LA, and as you can see, very pretty. Yeah, the marina, then up ahead is Fisherman's Wharf, which is where I'm going to get some lunch before I go to the campsite. Campsite for tonight should be interesting. I'm staying at the county fairgrounds. They have an RV section there, and it's very central, a lot cheaper than anything else that's available in the area here. In California, especially along the coast, it's really hard to find boondocking or free spots. So I am going to be staying at the fairgrounds. Apparently it's nice, it's clean, it's safe, and all the rest of it. And in the meantime, before I go there, just going to enjoy a bit of the tourist trap known as Fisherman's Wharf. The first thing I noticed that's a bit off-putting, it's not even December yet, and the Christmas decorations are well and truly up. So apart from being all decked up for Christmas, the wharf is a little bit dead. So I'm sitting in a restaurant here, slightly overpriced, but a hell of a view. And I'm getting some fish tacos, a glass of wine, and then afterwards I'm going to go for a walk here before I go and check in. So, lunchtime it is. First good lunch in a while. Clam chowder, fish tacos, and a glass of wine. Okay, the lunch was very good. The wharf itself was a little disappointing. Not too many people. And also what was a little sad was, I'm guessing maybe 20% of the shops were closed. Not closed as in we're opening later, but like shut down. So that's a little sad. Right, it's time for a walk and then go to the fairground. In many parts of the country, the society can be divided into the haves and the have-nots. Well, I think in Monterey, they divided into the haves and the have-yachts. The beach over here looks very inviting, but as you can see, nobody's swimming. It's a little chilly for that. It's 17 degrees, which is very comfortable for walking around, but not exactly swimming weather. I'm going to take a walk. There's another pier here that looks a little bit less commercialized. I'm going to take a walk out there, just why not? Very pretty, very quaint here. I believe a very expensive area to live. It's not tourist season at the moment, which would explain to a certain extent the lack of crowds. But still, it is very quiet. Whoops. So here I am at the campsite. It's actually pretty nice. It's shade. I'm in the shade here. Behind me is a golf course. So provided I don't get hit by any errant golf balls, it should be fine. The sites here are a little tight. You're kind of close to your neighbor, but I've had worse. And what's nice, I do have full hookups here. I think probably only going to hook up to electricity. I emptied my sewer tanks and all that this morning. I don't see any need to hook all that up. It is now, it's only 25 past 2, and the campground manager or host gave me a couple of ideas, idea for something to see. Go and do this afternoon, and another one on tomorrow morning on the way out. So it would be a pity to waste the whole afternoon. So I'm going to head out and see what I can see. So I found what hopefully will be a nice walk for the afternoon. It's already 3 o'clock. I'm in a park on top of a hill called Jack's Park, and I'm doing Jack's Loop. It's about a mile. At the moment I'm walking amongst trees, etc. But hopefully it'll open up and there'll be some good views. It's a mile. It's about a 15-minute drive from the campground. So, well, the fairground, should I say. So hopefully it'll be worth it. If not, it's not too bad. As you can see, I'm walking through some fairly thick trees, and so here's a sign I haven't seen before. I will try to be careful. The view is still kind of obscured by the trees, but I am getting these tantalizing glimpses down into the valley. I'm right on top of a hill. I'm doing this like a circular loop around the peak, which I drove up to, and I really hope I get some views shortly. As much as I loved my time in the desert, it is nice to be back in the greenery, and as I say that, opens up as this stunning view. It's a little bit hazy. I don't think it's because of smoke. I think that this is because of smog, which California is also notorious for. But the view is just incredible. Like I said, nice to see green again. And this is a little trickier because I'm looking down into the sun, but there in the distance is the Pacific Ocean. I'm almost back at the van. Despite the fact that I didn't have the magnificent view all the time, I had enough of it that made it a really interesting walk, and combined with the greenery all around me, which, as I said, I haven't seen for a while. It's also nice. It wasn't a long walk, less than a mile, but it was just nice to get out and get the legs moving after spending most of the day yesterday and a lot of the day today in the RV driving. So this was good. Tomorrow, the next few days, there'll be more hiking, but that's it for today. Good morning from the Point Lobos State Nature Reserve, just outside of Carmel on the coast between San Francisco and LA. I'm here this morning, camera. I'm going to be doing excuse the sunshine, I'm going to be doing a 6.7 mile loop trail, which will take me sometimes along the coast, sometimes inland, but it's supposed to be spectacular. So this is my starting point here in this little inlet, and I'm looking forward to a nice long hike. There across the bay is the little town of Carmel. Got seabirds warming up on the rocks here. This is just the start of the hike, and already I'm very impressed. Climbed a bit in elevation, so getting an even better view of the bay. Coming up on what used to be an old whaling station building. Hopefully we'll be able to go in. I think it's a museum now. With COVID, you don't know what's open and what's closed, especially in the state parks. So as I suspected, it's not open. It is well, it's now on the register of historic places. It was a whaler's cabin built by Chinese fishermen about 1850. It's a shame I can't go in. I can see through the window that they've got like brochures and stuff, so it's a real pity. What can you do? Come down the hill again. You can see my van in the distance there. This is known as Whalers Cove, and that point there will probably be my next stop, my next viewpoint. I actually saw a volunteer works here, or helps out here, and he said that that building opens at 9. So what I'll do is I'll do my whole hike, and then when I get back I can stop there with the camper and go inside. So that's good. I am walking right next to the sea for a while. It's great. Another very, very different hike. A mile in, I get one last look at this cove, Whalers Cove, with my vehicle in the distance there. And then if I swing around this way, the scenery changes a little bit. Got Carmel in the background, and for a while more I'm going to be walking along the coast. I could do this all day. Got the sound of the waves crashing into the cliffs and the rocks, the sunshine, there's a cool breeze, just perfect. Path is taking me a little bit away from the coast now, and through these trees. Some of them are quite weird. They've got this, I think it's a moss growing on them. A little bit eerie, but very pretty at the same time. Even though I can't see the sea at the moment, the trail has become really pretty in the morning light, walking through all this greenery, etc. I love trails like this that have a variety of different atmospheres, if you want to call it that, surroundings. And I come out from the trees to another stunning view of, I'm sorry about the hand, I'm just trying to keep the sunlight off the lens. Another stunning view of the coast here. South African friends, this reminds me a little bit of Clifton, just a little bit. The beach down here, and in places of Llandudno, the rocks. Absolutely stunning coastline. The water, you can see the water down below here, so that area there and the area behind it are actually islands, and it's called, the far one there is called Bird Island, apparently, and I think this might also be Bird Island. Apparently in the spring tons of birds come here and lay their eggs and raise their young, because being islands, they're totally safe from predators. I'm about halfway through the hike, and so far it's all been, like you see behind me, there's like really good trails, so it's fairly easy walking, some uphill and downhill, but not that much. And it's not too hot, there's a bit of a breeze blowing. Like I said earlier, it's really ideal conditions for walking, hiking in an ideal setting. I'm enjoying this. It's one cove after another, and as I was coming above this cove I noticed a strange smell, and then I saw why. Got seals resting down on the beach below. Very cool despite the smell. I know I'm repeating myself, but this coastline is just stunning. What a morning hike. I'm over 5 miles into the hike, which means I've got less than 2 to go. And this truly is one of those hikes that I wish would never end. The scenery here is just stunning. A lot of the time I'm walking in the shade, but even when I'm in the sun, it's not that hot. What a hike. Almost back at the van. I have to say, I'm going to put this hike into the category of the top hikes of the trip. It was truly amazing. I'm really pleased I did it. It wasn't too hard, although I'm pretty tired. It was 10.6 kilometers, so takes it out of you. It's now what's the time? 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna rest for a few minutes, have something to drink. I've got to phone and confirm campsite for tomorrow night, and then I'm going to carry on south down the coast. Beautiful drive down the coast here after that hike. This is highway number 1, or also known as the Pacific Coast Highway, and one of the great drives in the United States. It starts way low, I believe up in Oregon, and I'm only doing a portion of it, but it is a pretty spectacular portion. Repairs going on this bridge just to add to the fun. The scenery just gets better and better. I think if I can find a place with a nice view, I'm going to stop and make myself a couple of sandwiches, have an early lunch. That hike sure helped me build up an appetite.
Today, that all 3 cases of the Omicron variant in the city are imported. Hong Kong has also strengthened its already tight border restrictions. Bans
come a little bit inland now, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful drive. I'm not from the area, not far from the area known as Big Sur, and it's supposed to be really beautiful. I mean, it is really beautiful already, but it should get even better. I used to enjoy the drive along the coast by Cape Town towards Hout Bay and past Chapman's Peak Drive for us, South Africa. But this beats that by a long shot. This is just absolutely stunning. got about another 30 miles of this to go today, and then some more tomorrow, the day after, and then that's it. Definitely not too shabby. You seriously can't beat this. I was heading for a campground about 5 miles south of here, and then I saw this one coming up, and it's right next to the highway. I didn't have a reservation for the other campground, so I thought, let me try here first. So I came in. This was about 2:30. The guy said to me, hold on till 2 o'clock. This was about 1:30. He said, hold on till 2. I should be able to accommodate you. And I got a spot, and it's a nice spot. I've got the fire pits here, although there is a fire ban at the moment. But I have a picnic table. But the best thing about this spot is, well, a few best things is the area is beautiful. There's a decent space between campsites, and just down there is the Pacific Ocean, and there's a little trail down to the beach, which I'm going to do in a little while, and I'm really excited to go down there. And I think basically I lucked out. Campsite is $35 a night, which, given the location, is not bad at all. There's no electricity or water hookups or anything, but I'm fine. I've got everything that I need. So this is my second last night of camping in the van. This is just a great setting. Only disadvantage is there's no cell phone reception or internet, but I can deal with that for one night. So I'll work on my editing, I'll read a book, have a drink, might even take a drink down and sit on the beach. We shall see. Anyway, that's it for now. There you go. It's now about 4:30. I rested a little bit, and now I'm going to take the trail down to the beach because the sun is starting to set and I want to be on the beach for sunset. I have no idea how far this trail actually is, but it can't be that far. Like I said earlier, I'm super excited to be in this place, pretty much on the beach, for my second last night. Trail goes down past a little stream on the way, running down to the ocean. I'm actually really pleased that I decided not to walk down in my Crocs, because this is more of a walk of a trail than I thought it would be. So I'm wearing a good pair of sandals. Shoes would be better, but the sandals will be fine. I cannot imagine that it's that far. I actually now need to cross the little stream. Okay, I can do this. There we go. It's a great little hike, actually. So this is not a beach of soft white sand, etc. And the waves are crashing up onto the shore, but judging by the amount of wood, the size of these poles that have been washed up here, it looks like the sea can get a lot more violent than this. Anyway, I've found a nice spot just to sit and wait. Come standing in the shadow of that, or the shade of that big rock to film this. I'll move out. I'll hopefully get a good shot of the sunset over the Pacific. Get a few seconds now, and then a little bit more when it's lower in the sky. Just beautiful. Coastal mist coming in. I don't think that's smoke. Definitely not smoke. There's no smell of smoke. But it lends the light and everything just that much more subtle and tones things down. Really nice. The effects of the waves crashing in here. The sun is about to dip below the horizon, and the light, the effect is just magical. Absolutely beautiful. What an end to an amazing day. The hike this morning, the drive down the highway, finding this awesome campsite. A little walk down to the beach, and now the sunset. Truly spectacular. Sitting here watching this kind of spellbound. That's it for today. I will be up and with you again bright and early in the morning. Good morning. You can see behind me, it's not just these sunsets around here that are pretty. The mornings are too. So it is now 7:15 in the morning. I've been up for a while. I've already been for a little walk in the area here. There are two hikes that I was planning on doing this morning, but there's a slight hitch. I have no cell or internet reception here. I have no clue where they are, because normally I load a hike in and it will give me directions to the start point using either Waze or Google Maps. Except without internet that doesn't work so well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack up and head south along the coast, and the same thing happened yesterday. I'd lose internet reception for a while and then I'd pick it up, and I'll keep an eye and pull over when I get it. Once I load the map and everything on the site, then I'm fine, then I can do without it. I'm also going to want to do something else today. I don't know if it's open or not, but here's something to think of in the meantime. This will probably only the older people who are watching this will know. Does the name Hearst, Hearst, mean anything to you? So think about that until we get to that point. In the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my coffee and the early morning view here, and then I'm going to get moving. Okay, so it took way longer than I thought it would to find a spot where I actually had internet service. I'm way past the area where I wanted to hike, but I found something here along the coast called, I'm walking along the sea, I'm just holding the camera normally in the other side so that it's not taking into the sun. There's a trail here. It's just under 2 miles each way along the seafront. It's pretty flat, and apparently there are another number of places where you can observe the seals. So go for a walk 2 miles each way, get the blood flowing, and then we'll take it from there. By the way, any luck remembering the name Hearst or recalling the name Hearst? Just to give you an idea, I parked back there and I'll be walking along this trail to about half a kilometer past the lighthouse there. Pretty flat, easy walk. All I'm carrying now is my camera, selfie stick, and a camelback with water. Didn't feel the need to bring my whole backpack with survival gear and all that for this kind of walk. A big elephant seal there coming out of the water in a cove. Thank goodness for zoom on the camera. Nice beach here, but I don't see any seals apart from the one dude over there. Well, I think that's the same guy I filmed earlier. Oh, there are two of them. Apparently this time of year it's not breeding season or anything, but the males like pretend fight to sharpen their skills for later on when they will compete with each other for the rights to mate. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of them resting. Okay, one that I thought was a rock definitely just moved. Yeah, some of those boys are big. And those two down there are still play fighting. Nice. There's a lighthouse there. I don't think the trail doesn't actually go up there, so I'll just do a short thing from here. I don't know if it's still in use, and in general I'm wondering today with GPSs and all that how long it will be before lighthouses become totally obsolete. What's interesting here is that these beaches are permanently off limits to people in order to protect the sea lions and give them some peace and quiet, as much as there's peace and quiet in sea lion life. You know, not to have them being bothered by human activity, which I think is pretty neat. Almost back at the car. A really nice first hike walk for the day. Gonna make a phone call or two, have something to drink, and then moving on. The next place I wanted to go is up on the hill there. It is that building, but the road up there is closed, and the castle, and it is a castle itself, and visitor center, which are now state parks, are closed until further notice. So what's the story of that place? That place is called Hearst Castle. You might be aware of, there are a couple of stories there. In the 19th century, George Hearst was a miner who sort of succeeded, made a small fortune and lost some of that money, and his son William Hearst took over the father's struggling business, one of the father's struggling businesses, which was a San Francisco newspaper, and he succeeded in turning it into a massive media empire. And in his travels, he got to Europe, he saw castles there, and he decided that he was going to build that castle up there in the hills on land that I believe he inherited from his father and expanded. So that's where the castle comes from. He was also an art collector, and apparently it's quite fantastic. So I'm not that I'm that into art. I'm pretty upset. Not upset. I would have really liked to have been able to see it, because even from here down below it looks impressive. The story doesn't end there though. His granddaughter was Patty Hearst, and in 1974 she was kidnapped by a group of anarchists. I believe the Symbionese Liberation Army, something like that. And about 2 years later she was arrested because she'd been taking part in illegal activities, I believe including bank robbery, by the group. At her trial, it was originally claimed that she'd actually freely joined the terrorists, something called kidnappers, something called Stockholm syndrome, which you can look up if you want. It's where people who are kidnapped or held hostage start to identify with the people who are keeping them prisoner. Anyway, she was sentenced to 35 years in jail. That was later turned to 7 years, and eventually I think it was Bill Clinton who pardoned her. She claimed she'd been raped and tortured when forced to join in the activities. At her trial that wasn't accepted, but later on it was grounds for her getting a pardon. Today, I believe, according to the Wikipedia anyway, she lives in New York with her husband, who was a former bodyguard, and their kids. So that's the story of the Hearsts and this castle that I really wanted to visit but can't. Hi, so I am in Morrow Bay. I've just arrived and set up at the campsite behind me. Campsite, a lot of asphalt and all that, but it's pretty level, and the main thing is it's kind of right across the road from the beach, which I'm going to now. I stopped off on the way in here for a really nice lunch. I had a fish lunch, ceviche, and then I had seared tuna, which was awesome, and I closed it all off with an Irish coffee, which I haven't had in yonks. So that was really nice. And I came to the campsite here, I set up, and I am right across from the beach, or sand dunes. And that's it. This is called Morrow Bay. It's down between Monterey and LA. And one of the most famous parts of this is this massive rock island coming up from the sea. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go for a little bit of a walk. I wouldn't call it a hike, and we'll see. And then I think I'll go back and take a nap. Unlike last night or yesterday, the campsite here has full hookups. So I've got electricity for the night, and then tomorrow morning I need to empty all my tanks and all that and not use them again, because tomorrow evening I'll be in Ventura staying with friends, and then on Saturday I will be returning the RV. Crazy to think that the adventure is almost over, but what an adventure it's been. The beach here is really nice. I don't see anybody swimming. There are a couple of people here with surfboards and that, but I can hear them grumbling about how the waves are not good today. So I mean, I can understand why people aren't swimming. It's only like 18 degrees, and I believe that water is cold. And of course, everything dominated here by that massive rock. This is the little town of Morrow Bay. I think it used to be based mainly on fishing, but now it's more tourism. It is very picturesque. Just the picture of the little town is spoilt a little bit, just a little bit, by these, I don't know if they're cooling towers or chimneys from the power plant here. So whatever, I mean, it's still very pretty here. I'm going to take a walk out towards the rock there and see. I'm not sure actually, now that I look at it, if it is an island or if it's not connected to the mainland here. We shall see. Got a couple of sea otters playing in the water in the bay here. I didn't know they lived here. When I first saw them, my reaction was one of utter disbelief. Oh, sorry. Very cute. So I was wrong. Morrow Rock is attached to the mainland, but it kind of bumped into it accidentally. Just to give you an idea. Whoops, wrong way. That school bus will give you some idea of the scale. It's 576 feet high. It started out as a volcano about 250 million years ago, opposite the area where Palm Springs is, like way further south, and it moved at the pace of about a centimeter a year northwards by the shifting tectonic plates until it kind of bumped into the mainland here. And so here it is. The things you learn when you're on an afternoon stroll. Definitely some surfers out there catching the waves. More accurately, waiting for suitable waves to catch. I think I am going to try and walk back along the beach. Back there, behind there, is where the RV resort is. Kind of came a long way around, down behind those dunes, in front of the pillars, and then down the road to here. So let's see. The kind of problem is I'm wearing shoes. It's not exactly great for walking on sand. We'll see. That was a really nice afternoon, well, I wouldn't call it a hike, walk. It's about 3 kilometers. I'm back at the RV park, just next to my site. I have a one of the camp laundries and shower toilets. But like I said, if I've said before, I just prefer using my own. And here we are. Here's Bruno. So here's something I've never encountered before. Excuse me if the camera is shaking a little bit. I didn't bring the selfie stick that I normally use to help stabilize it. I just came out, it's 4:45 p.m. I came out to check the sunrise, and this is what I see. There's the big rock. You've got the sea mist coming in. The mist coming in off the sea. There are those towers that I showed you earlier, and the bottom part is completely obscured by the mist. And when I walk out here, I could actually feel the tiny little droplets of water against my face and my arms. So I guess this is a California thing, but it's pretty neat. Good morning. I am at Pismo Beach, which you can read backwards behind me. This is actually one of the more popular surfing and all that beaches in California. And I'm just going to walk around a little bit, and I'll take a walk down the pier, which is behind me here. And then I will probably start making my way. I'll stop off in Santa Barbara, and also before I go on to Ventura. The beach here, as I said, is really famous. Swimming, surfing, very pretty. It goes on for miles and miles and miles. It's a little bit overcast and chilly today, but not too bad. Not too many people walking on the pier. This is a very quaint little town. There's whale watching here as well. But mainly it's a holiday town, I think. And it reminds me a little bit of, for my South African friends and relatives, of Hermanus, but a little bit bigger than that and more hilly. For my second and final stop for the day, I am in the famous seaside city of Santa Barbara. I'm walking out on the pier. Like Pismo Beach, Santa Barbara has a pier. I think today's my day for spending time with my peers. Sorry, couldn't resist. I've been here before. It's very pretty, very picturesque. I'm not going to spend long here. Just get a little bite to eat, and then we'll be on my way. Here too. There's nobody here at the moment, but it's famous for surfing. It's an expensive area to live in, but then all of California is expensive. Getting fish sandwich and with salad. To sit here for lunch, to sit here on the quay before I head down to Ventura. Not too many people yet. It's middle of the week and it's not really in season, but really is pretty here. Really pretty. That was very tasty. There's not much going on here, so I think I'm going to start the last leg of my journey down to Ventura, which is just north of LA. Hi, I'm now standing at the same spot at my friend's house in Ventura, California, as the same spot where I stood when I started my very first video 3 months ago. It's crazy to think that 3 months have passed so quickly. I have had the time of my life. I have seen things, done hiking, and just had an awesome experience exploring the Western United States. It truly was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, but unfortunately all good things come to an end. I got here yesterday afternoon. Today I spent unpacking my stuff from the RV, and tomorrow I will be returning the RV, including Bruno, who's there in the window. And beginning of next week, or early next week, I'll be flying. So tomorrow I've also got to go and do a PCR test, and then early next week I'll be returning home. It's been a truly remarkable experience. If you followed all through the series, thank you for following along. I would love to hear which episode you liked the most, which national park impressed you the most, and to get your feedback on the other videos I've done. Thank you for coming along for the journey. I really have enjoyed making these videos, and hopefully in the not too distant future I'll be able to do something similar, if not on this scale. But in the meantime, all the best and stay in touch.